Idaho Matters podcast is brought to you by St. Luke's On-Demand Virtual Care, which allows patients to see a provider from their home using a computer or smartphone with on-demand care for common ailments, such as a cough, sore throat, or a sinus issue. More information at stlukesonline.org.
The Winter Olympics are back, and Boise State Public Radio Music is celebrating the 25th Games in Milan Cortina.
Welcome to the 25th Winter Olympic Games.
NPR is covering the Games from Italy, bringing you the stories behind the competition, now through February 22nd.
It's been amazing being here with Team USA.
From new events to medal counts and Team USA's highlights, follow it all with NPR's 2026 Winter Olympics coverage at boisestatepublicradio.org.
From the studios of Boise State Public Radio News, I'm Samantha Wright, filling in for Jim Godhet. It's Idaho Matters. Back in April, we heard about a new book that put a spotlight on the stories of 50 Latina women who have had an undeniable influence on the Gem State. The book is Nosotras, Latinas in Idaho, and I got a chance to sit down with the authors, Dr. Emily Wakefield and Maria Gonzalez Gardinas. Let's take a listen. Tell us about the book. Where did the inspiration come from?
Well, the inspiration, Samantha, came years ago, early 90s. Mujeres Unidas de Idaho, a nonprofit organization, was created. And it was then, and my involvement with Mujeres, that sparked the idea, because there would be an annual conference. One of those conferences took place at Boise State University. Just some amazing, amazing women, both as professionals, as community leaders, and just women who really cared about others and cared about our great state. That was sort of the spark, and then later the catalyst to get this work done, get this book done.
Emily, how did you get involved with this project?
It's a funny story, actually, Samantha. I was invited to give a talk about my research in Latin America at BYU in Provo. And one of the parts of my visit there, I gave a public talk for 100 people, and then I also visited a class. And Maria's youngest daughter was in that class. And so she immediately texted Maria and said, "Wait, do you know this woman? Why aren't you working together?" And so we started a friendship based around that. Was the first week of March 2020. And so I flew home and didn't fly again for another year and a half. But Maria and I started up a friendship and a communication, and she proposed this book idea. And I also grew up in Greater Idaho and had spent time in South Texas and been, sort of interested in telling the stories. There's a really rich tradition of individuals telling their stories as part of a collective community. And so we just kept talking about the book and thinking about how we could do it. And a few years later, here we are.
So why was it important that this piece of work specifically featured not just women, but Latina women? Why focus there?
Well, from my perspective, Samantha, I came to Idaho. I was a teenager at that time. I was born and raised in Texas, South Texas. My family had moved around, like many, both Mexican and Mexican-American families would move around following crops, right? As you know, Idaho has had agriculture being its most important industry for years and years and years. With that, there's a lot that has been done, a lot of things that we've overcome. And while I mentioned earlier, having that idea back in the early 90s, still I debated as we looked at who should it include. A lot of the things I did go back and forth. Should it be just in general about Latinos being Idaho's largest ethnic group historically? And that we have been here, the presence of Latinos and Latinas has been in Idaho for a long, long time. You see that we have, a city by the name of Orofino. We've got alturas. Spanish was spoken here before, I believe, English. After the Native American dialects, Spanish was spoken here. It was really, really important to bring that to light. I thought, could it be about the many fabulous camp students that I worked with at NC State University? I thought about that. Should it be just about Latinos in general? But as I survey and talk with many in the community and many students, the resounding response was, it needs to be about women. It needs to be about Latina women. And because I am Mexican descent and Mexican is still a large percentage of the Latino population in Idaho, that's where we went with it.
I understand that the book has different translations, and that was very important to both of you, Emily and Maria. Can you talk a bit more about that and why it was so crucial to remove language barriers for your readers?
Yeah, there's an important tradition of having English and Spanish sit alongside each other, and it's very rare in the publishing world to have that. And it's important because it signifies that both languages are valuable and provide alternative interpretations and views of the world, but that they do complement each other and sit alongside. And so people that are primarily Spanish speakers can read the book and read it all the way through and have a similar experience as people that are primarily English speakers. And then there's a lot of people that sit in the middle. Maybe they primarily speak English, but they want to learn Spanish, and they can flip back and forth between the different biographies and pick up new phrases and learn new words. And we also wanted the book to be intergenerational, and this allows for abuelas and grandmothers to sit down with their nietas and their granddaughters and read through it in either language. And it's quite rare to have that, and I think it's just a mark of the incredible translational power that Maria has and the dedication of the women who've contributed to want to be translatable and understood in various ways across different levels.
Because women contributed their stories, right, in both either English or Spanish, and we wanted individuals to feel very comfortable in which language they contributed.
Maria, I've got a couple minutes left. What do you hope people will take away from the book and from these women?
I think that one of the greatest takeaway is especially to inspire the little girls and the young women in Idaho who may face challenges similar to what some of the women in the book have faced, but that there are amazing individuals willing to help, mentor, and so that they can succeed, especially when we talk about education, right? Knowledge is power. And we want young little girls to be inspired, and their aunts and their cousins. I think that's one of the big takeaways. But then also for Idahoans at large is to really see how much has been contributed by women, not because they're being paid to do so, but because they care and they love Idaho, and this is our home.
And if you want to find out more about the book and the women behind it, Dr. Emily Wakefield will be speaking at the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute in Boise on Monday, March 2nd, along with a crash course on Latino culture, which looks at folklore, family, history, food, and humor. That one is March 11th at the Osher Institute.
This is the Idaho Matters podcast. I'm Gemma Gaudet.
Hi, it's Terry Gross, host of Fresh Air. Hey, take a break from the 24-hour news cycle with us and listen to long-form interviews with your favorite authors, actors, filmmakers, comedians, and musicians, the people making the art that nourishes us and speaks to our times. So listen to the Fresh Air podcast from NPR and WHYY.